Pinball has always been a favorite of mine at the arcade and at the home. I've enjoyed pinball in many different forms over the years, but it all starts back with the Atari 2600. The first video pinball I played was Atari 2600's Video Pinball. I played this many times over at my friend's house, and his dad also had this beauty in the basement, a 1976 Bally hang glider pinball. So between these two, I started my fondness for pinball. Atari's Video Pinball was simple in design, but it also played very much like the real thing. With the difficulty setting, the B difficulty was the easiest playfield, and the A difficulty added 2 extra drain holes on the playfield. With a variety of spinners, bumpers, rollovers, drop targets, and special lit target, there was no end of racking up the variety of points. Although, sometimes I swear the ball kept bouncing around back and forth at the bottom without ever coming in contact with the flippers, and it would never seem to stop. Video pinball was a great deal of fun, and according to the manual, better get yourself a piggy bank for all those quarters you're going to save. There was another Atari pinball game that came out a few years later, and thanks to Anthony Speckf, who commented their favorite Atari games in my Top 10 Atari Games video and pointed this one out to me, Midnight Magic, which I'd never played before. The name certainly does not make me think it's a video pinball game, but visually it looked quite superior to the Video Pinball, as it looked more like other video pinball games on later systems, such as Pinbot on the NES and on Windows 95, the 3D Pinball Space Cadet. We also have 4 flippers in the playfield and a really nice animated spinner, which also moves the pointer and the lights on the table, and the plunger also has a power indicator as well. The A difficulty setting will add a kicker and a center post if you hit the target with the arrow, and the B difficulty setting they are always on. A couple of things I did notice between the two games was, the controls for Midnight Magic are slightly different from Video Pinball. You use the left or the right to activate the left or right flipper, but you pull down in Midnight Magic to activate both of them at the same time, as where in Video Pinball you push up on the controller to perform the same action. Also, you can use the nudge in Video Pinball where you can somewhat control the ball, but if you use it too much, it will cause the table to tilt. Midnight Magic did not have any such feature, which is quite a shame. Both of these games have their merits, and both have their unique approach to simulating an actual pinball game. Let's pause here a second. In the middle of making this review, I acquired Atari 2600 Junior, and after I took a look at the box art for Midnight Magic, I could see that the artwork that they were using the paddles instead of an Atari joystick, even though I couldn't find anything in the instructions stating that it could. I decided to try out the paddles, and surprisingly, they actually flip the flippers. Unfortunately, there was no way to activate the plunger. So I dug around on the internet and came across this Atari Age article talking about this exact thing. The further down I got in the thread, I found that the user Nukey Shay hacked the ROM to allow the paddles to be used and put them up for download. I'll put a link in the description for anybody that's interested. So I tried it out on my Atari, and boom! The plunger worked by pressing both paddle buttons. This definitely improved the gameplay. Super kudos to Nukey Shay for his awesome hack here. Now, with this also being said, there was another pinball game for the 2600 in this Atari Age thread that I hadn't heard of before either, and it is called Bumper Bash, which is programmed to actually use the paddles to play. Bumper Bash has some really nice elements for the gameplay. The plunger has lines on it to indicate the power level, and the ball is not just a square. The the spinner is also animated as well. There are a variety of drop targets and rollovers, and the ability to activate a kicker to keep the ball from going down the drain hole as well. This is a pretty great pinball game, but I personally felt like I liked Midnight Magic over Bumper Bash. So how it started to how's it now? Atari brought to us the ability to have a pinball in our homes, and now we are able to play pinball on just about anything from a phone to a tablet to a console and a PC. I had many different variations of pinball games throughout my lifetime. During the Atari days, I had both of these Tommy Pocket games that were great to pass the time and keep up my challenges. And in the late 80s, early 90s, I played my Tiger Electric Pinball. And then during the mid to late 90s, we had games like Slam Tilt Pinball for PC, and I played these 5 pinballs at the local arcade, and I loved every one of them. I still have one of the special coins for Safecracker that gives you a special game mode when you insert it. Nowadays, we have virtual pinball games that recreate older pinball games or their own original creations. All 3 of these Atari games, Video Pinball and Midnight Magic and Bumper Bash, they may seem a bit primitive to today's standards, but their spirit is felt through all the years of video game pinball, as they were quite the forerunners for many video pinball games. If you started playing video pinball on the Atari 2600 or anywhere else on the timeline, tell us about it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned in for the next video, but until then, Digital Infinity out.
Leaving so soon?